Hi guys, Alex Peak Performance Reviews. Welcome to another vlog and welcome to a bit of a different one. Today we're going to be talking about the excitement that surrounds the new Honda Civic Type R, or would be better known as the FL5. So that's a new kind of code name for it. And obviously it's all new, 11th platform of the Civic. I should be getting really excited about it. But I kind of am not, so I'm going to start off the video with that. Loads of people keep on inboxing me and have linked me to early things and press releases and bits and bobs and launch things of this Civic Type R. They're saying, are you getting one? Why are you not getting one? You should be getting one. Are you getting one? What's happened to your FK8? Well, we've got another video coming up on my FK8. Kind of sore subject, but the reality is, basically, in short, I am not going to be getting a new Civic Type R. Absolutely not. Lots of different reasons, but I'll get into that on another video. Basically, got some major problems with it, and basically Honda are not willing to do anything with it. Obviously, as people will know, in short, obviously I do and have tracked it, but there's a lot more to it than that. And I just want to explain the things of why you just need to be careful. So if you are thinking of getting an FK, or certainly a new one like mine, which was only like 1.5 years old with low like 15,000 miles, just have a little think. Because realistically, the car that's kind of billed as a track weapon you shouldn't really take on track, because nothing's going to be covered. But that's another video. Nonetheless, I am excited to kind of share everything I know about the new FL5, because I've got a lot more information than I think a lot of other people have got, including the brake horsepower figure, etc. So lots of deep information that some other videos have not covered yet. So let's first and foremost go through some of my notes and the tech spec and the bump, what some of the press releases are basically saying. So first and foremost, it's going to be made in Japan, not the UK. And there's a kind of winky face on that from a press release, which is like, oh, okay, all right, we can't engineer things quite as well as the Japanese. But I suppose at the end of the day, it's a really good thing. So yeah, made in Japan. This is going to be the last of the non-hybrid era Civic Type Rs, so pretty special in that respect. Everyone will know how much I love and adore the FK8 before I had any issues. They're epic. It is the best chassis platform of any hot hatch out there. And yeah, this FL5 looks to be likely to continue. So yeah, obviously they're engineering it to be the very best, and it's going to be on sale around Europe in 2023, early 2023, I believe, in the UK, if you're watching from the UK. And yeah, basically they promise for it to be the most powerful Honda ever. Originally it was sounding like it was going to be the most powerful in America, but now it sounds like just in general it's going to have a little more power. I'll explain to you how much, because I kind of believe that I know. A few little enhancements and different things. Obviously this is on a new platform. It's going to be lower and a little bit wider than ever before. Some people making out like it's going to be greatly wider. I mean, the FK is a wide car, but it definitely looks as though it's a little bit wider, and they have confirmed, the engineers have confirmed that it is wider, a little bit lower. It comes now with a set of 19-inch alloys with a Michelin Pilot Sport 4S on it out of the factory. I do think Honda are very clever at the old, I'm going to say it, smoke and mirrors game. Very clever ways of making a car quicker with not having to do necessarily much. However, I will get onto a bit more, and actually they seem like they are doing a decent amount, so that's good. I think the main thing visually, what I see from this car is that I think rather than it being an aero-based packaged car, so I think they've concentrated more on the car being very slippery, so faster, I think, in general. The clever little simple things that people won't think about, but lighter, smaller alloys are going to help acceleration. But the slipperiness of the whole shape of the car, for me, it's going to be, I suspect it'll end up being considerably or a decent bit quicker in a straight line. I think in my head, don't get me wrong, the engineers at Honda have done plenty to still make it dynamically really good, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit more unstable due to its shape. It hasn't got much active aero, and I don't or can't understand or have seen any real engineering that has been done on things like the wind tunnel and like the FK8 did. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit more unstable in higher speeds and mid kind of speed entry corners, but I think it's just gonna get its point A to point B speed, I think, so records and things like that, largely also due to its slippery shape and things like that, not just down to the difference in chassis, because I don't think the chassis is going to be that much different to the FK8, if I'm honest. A little bit wider, which is going to give it a bit of stability there, I suppose. But yeah, ultimately it looks obviously completely different, and I will go on to that. It's got a larger front grille in the front bumper, even more so than the other one, so aids in airflow, which is really, really good. It's got a different bonnet that actually has a little scoop that the entry air will come in and it will just basically discharge out of the small scoop, rather than almost sucking in a big kind of, again, Subaru-esque like big scoop. And I think for that reason, again, slippery going to be more helpful to the airflow of the car, so it's going to make it slippery and quicker in a straight line. I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be doing 0.1 or 0.2 of a second quicker in a quarter mile or something like that. I think it's going to equate to quite a lot, so that's quite good. There's apertures in the vents behind the front wheels, and a new larger diffuser. So the diffuser worked a little bit, I believe, in the FK8, but on this one it's going to act and work much better with the underfloor, flat underfloor, which again the FK8s have. So it's going to work even better, again, to help that airflow. As well as that, in general, there's a new spoiler design. I know it's controversial, on some aluminium frames. I think it looks okay, to be fair, and I'll go on to the rest of the car. It's available in a load of colours. I'll talk about that a bit more as well. The cockpit, obviously completely different. Yeah, whether it's to everyone's liking or not, again, I will go on to that. Yeah, the engine has basically seen some changes, mainly due to or the turbocharger has been reworked. I understand that they've got a slightly smaller frame in a certain respect, or should I say the housing appears to be packaged and more small and compact, but they've used a different blade design on the turbocharger, on the inducer wheel, so that will aid airflow, and I think that's what will give it its peak power. Whether when you tune it, will it have a higher peak power potential than the FK8? I do not know. I wouldn't be surprised if yes, a little bit, but I'll go on to the brake horsepower, and I do think it's going to be very subtle changes and very subtle in terms of high peak performance figures. I think it's going to be very little enhancement over the one previous, but in general I think it's all adding to the potential of a quicker car, no doubt. There's also improvements on the exhaust, so they've done some different things on that, which I think is going to aid in apparently the sound. It says enhanced sound, so I don't know whether it's just through the speakers or whether they have done quite a bit rework to the exhaust to make it finally sound a bit better out of the factory, which would be nice. The transmission has had some little changes. Again, I'll go on to those in a bigger sense as well. The brakes sound like they've got a little bit more ducting and cooling to them, so it can help that. I never really had an issue with the facelifted one anyway, with the great new pads that they had on them as well. Gearbox has had some different things, optimized shift pattern, and a change to the rigidity of the of the gearbox as well. I don't think that will mean that there's much done to it, in my opinion, but it doesn't. I mean, if it was, they'd say a bit more about it. Apparently there's an uprated radiator again, so it was already bigger and it's maybe bigger again or more efficient. I don't know, but it's an improvement, which is needed. Although I've never had any issues on track personally, so yeah, I guess why not though? If you're in hot country, you know, at the end of the day, if you can help temperature on track, the better. Yeah, so that's really that. I'm going to basically go through some of the press pictures and videos as well that I've seen also of the car. So let's talk about the function form and the look of the car. So what does everyone think? First and foremost, hit us up in the comment section. Yeah, there's definitely some like I say, visual changes. It's obviously this 11th gen Civic type or Civic is much more subtle than it used to be. Like I say, slippery. I've already talked about that. The packaging in the engine looks a bit different. Rather than having the Earth Dreams kind of intake pipe that comes over the top, that kind of goes over the top of that manifold. I still think it's there underneath this cover, but there's a cover with a Type R thing on it. Does it look better than the outgoing model? Some people say yes. I mean, the Type R badge is nice, but other than that, not really. But does that matter that much? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say so. So yeah. Again, like I say, what do people think of the design? Hit us up in the comment section, and yeah, it's always good to talk about that as well. I think it's okay looking. It's a bit too subtle for my liking. That's it. It really does look like a bit of a basic sedan saloon car when I see it. Very Kia-esque, very every car-esque actually. Every car's kind of going that way and almost merging into this same shape. So it's a little bit boring in my opinion. It's not, I don't think it's ugly, it's just not particularly amazing. I like the arches seem a bit bigger. I can see that they look pretty cool. I do like the wide design in that respect, but I think because the rest of the car is so subtle, I don't think it kind of matters. It doesn't look aggressive enough. If that was on an FK8 and they had the a slightly wider look, it would look better. Like I say, I don't know the spec on the alloys, but one thing I do know and understand is that they've increased the flow to the brakes based on the alloy design as well. It's really clever. They've tapered off the edge, rather than having square cut edges just as the entry of the airflow comes into the alloy, they've kind of smoothed the airflow on the alloy to help with aiding and the cooling, so it shunts air into the brakes better, or onto the brakes better. I'm not sure what everyone thinks about the all red interior, but the floor mats are all red. Everything seems to be red. I think it's a little bit OTT, but it's Integra DC2 kind of esque of old. It's okay, bit over the top I think for the floor mats, and I think they could have done like the FK8 and broke up the red, the pure red on the actual bucket seats as well. They don't look quite as nice as the outgoing ones. I like the little badge being up on the top of the dash. It's quite nice. And we're going to start to get into the nitty gritty of things. The virtual kind of cockpit dash with a digital display looks quite nice. And yeah, like I say, we're going to get into the nitty gritty of some of the technical spec now, because we're looking at the Japanese literature that I found on the car, and it does reveal quite a lot. So obviously I've already spoken about the aero. The aero is going to definitely make the car a bit more slippery. I think they haven't gone as wild with all canards and things like that, which again is going to really help aid airflow and in general straight line speed more than anything. But it doesn't look as though there's much in the way of stability controlled aero, if that makes sense. So yeah, like I said before, it looks like there's 5 colors. You've got the championship white, you've got flame red, racing blue pearl, crystal black pearl, and the sonic grey pearl. So only 5 colors, but to be fair, it's going to be relatively exclusive. My understanding is it's going to be built in fairly low numbers. I don't know why, but maybe just they do want to keep it exclusive. It's not being badged as a limited edition car, but there you go. Yeah, we've already looked at the obviously interior. Again, hit us up in the comment section as to what you think. Now, big nitty gritty. Okay, here we go. Power, guys. Right, we have a chart that is basically giving all of the cars timelines of Type R different Type R timelines of how much power they had in effectively PS per litre, okay? Not kilowatt per tonne or anything like that. So we can quantify pretty much or relatively accurately using this visual here, okay? So the FK8 has 160 PS per litre, so that's 320 PS basically full stop, because you double it because it's 2 litre effectively, so circa 320 PS, which is like, you know, whatever it is, 316 horsepower. And if you look from the FK2 to the FK8, I kind of even done a scale with a ruler, and I checked and checked from bumper to kind of the front of the car. It looks as though the increment differential is 5 PS per litre. So that means that using this chart, the FL5 should have 165 PS per litre. So times that by 2 and you get 330 horsepower, or 330 PS, which is going to be 326 horsepower. It may look as though there may be even 5 PS per litre more, which could signify that it could be 170 litres, 170 PS a litre, which would mean it's 340 horsepower, or PS should I say, so 336 horsepower. So the car is basically going to have between 326 and 336 horsepower. To me it looks as though it's going to be the earlier, so I think it's going to be circa 330 PS, so 326 horsepower. So tiny little extra amount of extra horsepower from the outgoing FK8. So not a lot of extra power. I don't know how excited people were to see maybe, you know, something more north and closer to, you know, an A45S or an Audi RS3. But obviously it's not going to necessarily need that. Obviously it's going to have a good chassis, it's going to be quick in a straight line, and in general it's almost certainly likely to be quicker from point A to point B. Actually, in fact, we do know that obviously it's beaten a Suzuka record over a facelifted LE, which actually weirdly the LE I found, if people were watching my videos, the LE, the differential between an LE and a facelifted Civic Type R, I actually was similar to what other people have said, or in publications. If you look deeply, there's not much in it. I don't think the Cup 2s are doing as much as people think over a set of Continentals. And it certainly wasn't any quicker than my car with a decent set of tyres on it. So the differential in weight didn't make much difference. So it's not going to make huge amount of difference until they maybe up the power on these cars. Will it get that Nürburgring lap record? I don't think so. I think if it would have got the record, I think they would have talked about it already now, like, you know, Audi did when they even hit it that kind of time with a pre-production kind of car. They're going to shout about it pretty early. So I don't think it's going to beat the Nürburgring lap record. Of course it's going to be still quicker than an LE and a facelifted FK8, which is a good thing because the chassis is amazing anyway. So, you know, fair play. It looks as though there's some good things in it, and I'm going to go a bit more deeper into a few more things because there's some other exciting things aside from just the little extra bit of power. Now the little bit of extra power is obviously and that power will obviously mainly be coming from that turbocharger. But yeah, obviously onto a bit more the modes and things like that. Obviously are going to be changing the display, but in general they are going to remain the same. However, there is an introduction of an individual mode, so you can basically change the modes to exactly what you want. So if you want a different steering kind of response and stuff like that, different engine response, you can kind of completely individually change what kind of bits you want as best, which you kind of had on every other kind of car out there. So but that's a good addition. They never had that before. And yeah, going on a bit further and a bit more deeper, there's a bit more information on these websites and things that I've found in the Japanese in Japan of different efficiencies. Again, they're explaining the efficiencies. A chart, almost like a chart, basically showing where the efficiency of is of the original turbo, or the FK8 turbo, and then where the efficiency. It's not really giving us so much, but at the end of the day, they're basically saying this is where the FK8 was and this is where the new one is, so it's better. It's the same with the power. There was some mention of things in the gearbox. To me, it appears as though, based on something I'm seeing, I don't think anything with the LSD, but it looks as though there is or will be a revision, and no one's mentioned it, but it looks like there's a revision on what appears to be the flywheel. So I think there's been flywheel changes model to model, and my guess is they've done something else, maybe lightened the flywheel, I can only imagine, because there's not really much else you can do. It should be obviously balanced, so I think that there's another diagram here that shows a bit better. Again, it's just showing their efficiency. It's saying something about the first to second shift. I don't know whether there's an improvement, or that is the part that maybe in the gearbox has been changed. Obviously it has been renowned. Anyone with an FK8 will know that you do get gearbox crunches. I think even if you've got a new car, an old car, they get this really annoying kind of graunchy crunch, even though the gearbox is sublime when it's operational and normal. But you can have a car hot, cold, and it will still sometimes do that, which is really frustrating and a bit weird. So maybe they're going to completely eradicate that, which has been on, in my opinion, on nearly all cars. There is the Honda app is on there, or Log-R app is back on again. It apparently now shows you a bit more. You can kind of get the power and torque, and it shows you that, and you can get it playing through your iPad or your iPhone, showing you the telemetry straight away, which in my opinion you can kind of do that through the data on the top anyway, so I don't know why you would want that personally. Bit weird, I don't know. So for me, it's nothing but an improvement. Again, we're going through the looks and showing the rest of the car in general. Again, guys, just please, what do you think of the car? Overall, I think some of the improvements that the manufacturer has done are exciting. Sounds like it's good. I don't particularly like the look of the I don't actually particularly like the interior either, the interior or exterior. So I think the FK for me has got that licked and ticked. Engine bay, you could argue, is better. Exhaust is going to be a little bit better. Braking is going to be better. And in general, there's lots of performance related things that will make the car, I'm almost certain, better. The whole dynamics of the way the car drove from an FK8 to this could be different, and it could be different to the extent some people may not like it. I'd find that very unlikely. The only thing I would be wary of is if you're buying one. I have had issues with mine, and it's obviously very new, 1.5 years old, very low mileage, and I haven't found it to be obviously reliable, to the extent it's made me obviously not want to buy a new modern Honda again. That's my stance on it, because of just the way it's been kind of dealt with, really. But I'm going to get into that in another video. But obviously I just wanted to look into and delve into everything that I've seen from the FL5 launch. Guys, I hope that was informative. I hope you enjoyed. FK8 guys that I absolutely adore and love, people like Dream and the guys that I've met through forums, absolutely love you. Sorry to kind of announce that I'm kind of getting rid of my FK8 through this video, if you've made it to the end or heard the intro. Don't worry about that. There's going to be still more content on Hondas, because we're going to do stuff through Dream, and going forward, maybe still with the manufacturer, we'll see. But nonetheless, yeah, if you drive a car on the road, and you are only going to drive a car fast on the road, maybe get an FK8 or the FL5. Looks exciting, should drive really well, and yeah, keep it off track, or you may have problems. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. As always, like, share, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you again on the next one. Bye for now.